Got a decent subject to come up with here. It's actually literally just happened, so it kind of threw off the cadence of my workout and everything else more than I'd like to admit, but here we are. So we're back, men, and we're going to talk a little bit about, I guess the broader picture is going to be owning your fuck ups. Like, and it doesn't mean the biggest things in the world are, like even the small things. It's all of it. It's you. Like, wear the responsibility. Understand that the more you do that, the better everything's going to be. It's not, everything doesn't have to be this horrible situation and you're trying to blame everybody else, but just be fucking man enough to accept some of the blame if you need to. Like, I don't, well, let me just get into like what I'm talking about here. So obviously in some of the videos, we're all aware that, I do online personal training. I've got some one-on-one clients, but I also do electrical work. Now, having said that, the electrical work is far and few between. I pretty much do that to help people. But the thing is that a lot of people call me up for these projects and want me to, help oversee them or consult or anything like that. Well, this one's a good example because today we ran into the situation of there's some deadlines that were coming up. And as deadlines do in this space, and if you're a man that has any sort of job, we all know about deadlines. We all know about, as they come up, people get weird. Everyone acts like the world's on fire because the deadline's coming up. It's not there, but it's coming up. So they feel like everyone's behind. That's nothing new. It happens all the time. But where I'm going with this is when you find out that all the information that you've been given is not the right information, that all the information that was given to you is just from the wrong spot. It's not so like everything you've done is you're working off the wrong set of information. So when it comes time to, finish a job or close to finishing as the deadline approaches, as we're talking about, you haven't even been doing the right work technically. So you find out that a lot of time's been wasted, a lot of resources have been wasted, and ultimately you're a lot further away than you thought. That happens. Like, that happens a lot more than probably anybody wants to admit, but it's so consistent in the working world, it's insane. It's the inefficiencies of humans, just what it is. But where I'm going with this, the reason that I wanted to talk about this today is that when that comes up, have you ever noticed that there's never a shortage of fucking fingers pointing? Like, everyone knows who the fuck's to blame. Like, well, it's this guy, and it's this guy. And they can start naming off people left and right about how that person didn't do all this shit. And what's funny in those moments is all those people are showing their cards immediately. They're not even like playing with a poker face. It's just immediately how everybody else dropped the ball. Not them, but everybody else. What they don't realize is that, well, that's weird. 4.5 seconds goes by, and all of a sudden, who all fucked up all of a sudden immediately. How did you not at any point along the way think to reach out to any of those people? Because if you're able to come up with that answer right away, that all those people are to blame and not yourself, you clearly had an idea if something was going wrong. Either that or you're one hell of you're one of the smartest people in the world if that information gets told in that moment and then immediately you have all the answers right away. That's insane. That's wild to think, right? Well, instead of instantly deciding who's to blame and how you had no hand in this and how you did everything perfectly, just fucking wear it. Step up, be the fucking leader, and just say, oh, yeah, we didn't get that done because I dropped the ball in this spot. the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no, yeah, if a deadline doesn't get hit, that sucks. And as a business, you might have to pay the repercussions. And I don't even know what that means. Different spaces have different consequences, but I mean, it may mean you lose some future work. But listen, if all you're going to do is sit there and point the finger and tell them how all these other fucking people didn't do it right, and I'm going to tell you something. Typically, what happens is they point the finger at everyone else in their company. Well, all that's doing is showing the outer world that your company's so fucked up that nobody's good because nobody can accept blame. At least in a scenario where something has gone wrong, there's been a miscommunication. At least if a leader can step up in the moment and accept blame and take it on, it shows that client or that the contractor that you're subbed under, or the employer, or the coworker, the partner, anybody, literally anybody, can show them at least you're competent and you're able to learn and you're able to take responsibility. That is something that people can understand and that people can get behind and say, okay, you know what? I get that sucks. I'm not happy about how this is going specifically right now. But at least they have morals and a backbone. And they take responsibility. Those people can get the job next time. They can get the second chance. They can finish the job still with respect. And that's what you're fighting for. That's what you're doing in this world. You're letting people know you're honest, you're trustworthy, and you're respectful. That's it. So if you miss the deadline, you've lost a little bit of respect, you've lost a little bit of trust because you weren't able to do that. But when you start pointing the fingers, you just start losing everything. It just shows so many flaws in your system. And this just goes all over because that specifically happened today just as I was starting to leave one of the work sites. It was just like all of a sudden fingers just started pointing everywhere. I got 2 or 3 phone calls from somebody. Hey, they said you didn't do XYZ. Of course they said that. Well, then of course that person that's even calling me, instead of them even taking any of the blame, they say, well, I know that I know that guy didn't do all this stuff too, though. So, and everything else. And it's like, so even that guy who's telling me that this other person's pointing the finger at me, even he started pointing the finger at somebody else. Like everybody gets so quick to point the finger. But what's funny is when they call me, all I say is, okay, so what do we got to do? Well, and their answer right away is, well, I'm not really sure. Well, that's really fucking weird. You know all the reasons why it didn't happen. You know all the reasons of you know all the people that weren't able to get it done and the reasons why they weren't able to and how they dropped the ball and everything. You have all this fucking information except for a plan to move forward. Weird. Really, really weird. So when they start to say, well, I don't know. I just know that had he done, I'll even interrupt. Like today, I interrupt him. Okay, I don't care what they did or didn't do, but what do we need to do to get this done? Well, they're thinking that you need to. Again, I don't really care what they think technically. I'm talking about what actually needs done. All these people have all this shit. They have all these reasons of why it didn't get done, but what do we need to get done? And the more you keep saying that, the more it shines a brighter light and a brighter light and a brighter light on somebody that oh shit, they don't even know. Oh, they don't even realize. And it also opens up the door for me to look at them and say, okay, well, I can't do that. Now that we know that I need to do, let's just say X. I need to do X. Well, I need information to get X done. Well, where do I get that from? Well, the only person I can get that information from is from the guy that's pointing the finger at me. Weird. Well, then all of a sudden the person I'm talking to realizes in their own head, they may not say it, and I don't say it, but you can hear in their tone it changes. Oh yeah, I guess I got to talk to them. Yeah, you do. I don't have that information, and I can't have that information because he's the only one that can ever have that. And that's not a point in the finger like he didn't give me the information. It's just hey, here's where we're at. Here's the reality. Who do we need to talk to first to get the first action step done? What is step one? Well, then all of a sudden, okay, I'll get a hold of him. Well, what do you know? That guy calls me. And he has a plethora of reasons now. Hey, this guy just called me and said that you said that I have to do all this. I didn't say any of that. I'm trying to build an action plan. Is that the next step that we have to do? Yeah, but that information you should have had. Listen, we can talk about this later. But what is the information that I'm supposedly supposed to have had that you still have? And that's when you start to see the ego. That's when you start to see who's who. And again, it's just that mentality, the point the finger, not taking responsibility for anything, making sure that everybody knows that they were not at fault. That's when you lose all respect. I can tell you right now, obviously I won't be naming names for companies. I'm not talking about some massive company that's worldwide. I'm talking about a local company here to Indiana, but I won't be working with them ever again. This is a situation that they've shown me who they are in their inner workings, and it's just not going to happen. When some of your highest level employees are pointing fingers, I can't. That's a recipe for disaster. That company will exist after this. It will. But it'll never, ever run as efficiently as they could. There's always money being left on the table because they're running it that way. Too many people, there's too many egos tied up in this. Not a one person in all this ever said, hey, man, I dropped the ball on that. Here's the information. Let's just get it banged out. Nobody said that. And I just think to myself, how is that possible? How is that even possible? And it's everywhere. That's why I think this subject's so important today, is because it's rampant everywhere. It's the smallest things and it's the biggest things. I mean, even just emails back and forth is another good one. When it comes to like information on email, people like to just send emails nowadays, which is fine. I get it. It does expedite the process to an extent because phone calls can be cumbersome. They can be time consuming and, sometimes there's not the best bet. People just don't like to do them. It's whatever. I think more people are just worried about human interaction, which I think is a problem. I would always rather do a phone call personally. That's why I like these videos, because it's me speaking. It's not me typing a thing. It's not me doing a newsletter. You aren't reading this. It's me. It's my words. So if somebody pulls this up later, well, you said, you're right. I said. Hopefully there's not much misinterpretation. But having said that, a good example, though, is this email that was sent out not too long ago, an expectation of an acquaintance of mine. Let's just leave it at that. He had to fill out this information for an organization. He was a client, but he's a little closer than just client, good friend, but he had to fill out this information for an organization, something he was going to do. Well, I don't even know what her title is. Let's just head of office operations, secretary. I really don't know. Anyways, he was emailing back and forth, and he showed me the emails. And we were just talking about this exact subject this week. And he had to go through these steps of what he had to do to be able to work with this organization. Okay, perfect, cool. But they put it at the end of the email, hey, do this step, do this step, do this step, do this. It was like a 7-step process. Perfect, no problem. That's normal. But in there, at the end, it says, hey, it's incredibly imperative that you get this done ASAP because we need to get this moving quick. Okay, perfect, great. Well, when he does that, the person says, fill out this form for this company to be registered as a active uh, representative of his business, which pretty much just means, hey, we know you're on site. We need your background, and we need to just get your information, and that way the office has paperwork to show that you should be there. Number one. So step one, that's cool. So he jumps on their site because what do you know? They have a link to their site. Perfectly done. She sent the email with a link. Now, having said that, why wouldn't, like when that link that was attached, this was a very much a copy and paste newsletter or a expectation letter, however you want to say, the onboarding form, whatever you want to call it, to every person. There was nothing personalized to him. It was just very surface level. But what killed me was when he was asking me about this, was that link just took him to their basic webpage, just to the front page. Okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's a little weird, being that you're specifically talking about filling out this very, very specific form. That's interesting that they would do that. Now, having said that, if you're putting a link in something, put the link that takes you straight to the form. So ultimately, he had to navigate this page that, I mean, from what he said, took him 45 minutes just to even navigate this thing, because for him, it was not extremely clear of where he should even go. Like, what is he even doing? Where am I going with this? What's happening here? He just wasn't sure. So he found himself trying to figure out, okay, well, what the hell is he going to do? Where is he going to go on this page? And by the time he got done wandering, he finally figured out what he thought was the right answer, filled it all out, and he turned in that form. And that was step one. Well, I'll cut through I'll go back and forth, but when he sent that back, the person sends an email back, after, and he turned in everything else too, but this one spot's where I'm going to interject. They sent an email back saying, hey, this isn't the right form to fill out. And in the email specifically, they wrote, this wasn't the right form to fill out. Why would you fill this one out? I clearly said this one. Like, they wrote that in the email. Well, okay, you typed out this is the form you need, but you put a link to a very generic front page of a website to an entire business that this random person that's coming in has no clue how to navigate. Even when he typed it in the search bar, it didn't pull up what you wanted. So he filled out the thing that he made his way to, hoping that was the right one because he couldn't find it. And in that email, that person, when they said, why would you fill this out? This isn't the right one. I told you how to get there. They still didn't put a link to the right form. They just pointed the finger at him, pretty much just saying, you're an idiot, you didn't follow the steps. But the steps were just fill out the form to do this. That's it. No link, no nothing, no obvious page on their homepage. Like, they've never done that step. Like, they've never done the process. They've never emailed that letter to themselves and then walked themselves through it thinking, if I knew nothing about this, would I be able to do it? They never did it. So their whole point was just to blame him. So go backwards now in time before you sent that email. The next step was he had to do a whole background check thing. Had to get an extended background check is what it was called, which I get that. I understand. You might be knowing where this story's going. The exact same situation. No link to the extended background check, the one that they specifically wanted. So as he navigated through their site, again, trying to figure out where to go, what to do, he found the background check. The one that he could find was a background check. Okay, cool. So he fills it out, does it, turns that in. Okay, now this was all turned at the same time. So I'm jumping back and forth, but that same, when she said, I put this out there, why would you fill out that form? It's the wrong one. Literally the same thing about the background check. This is not the right background check. I told you it was this one. Like, this is all typed out in an email. And again, no link to the appropriate background check. And it just started turning like, so at that point, you know where this is going. That's the communication problem. That email was just representation of somebody just saying, you are dumb. You messed up. I did my job right. You are the problem. At the end of the day, just take some responsibility. Realize that, man, even if he's the only one, even if, which I cannot imagine, but even if he's the only one that has ever had that problem, ever, that means that one person exists. That means that somewhere in that issue or in that, in those SOPs, in those standard operating procedures for that thing that he's trying to do for them, there's a flaw in the system. There is something that doesn't make total sense. They should see that, oh, there's potential for a problem because this one guy, now we're not at 100% effective rate. That means that something can be fixed. So instead of pointing the finger and telling that person how dumb they are and why would you do that? And why couldn't you do this? And why that? And, all the stuff. Like, just ask, hey, we haven't ran into this problem before. Everyone else seems to have found out. What was the problem that you ran into so we can maybe make this a little easier? You still don't have to see like, you can even save face that way. You don't have to stand there and say, like, oh, man, yeah, I don't know how to, like, you don't have to say, oh, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. You don't have to, like, wear it all. You don't have to take every bit of it. This can be a collaborative situation. You can ask for, hey, like I just said, we've never had this problem before. Could you help me understand where the issue's lying, where we're falling short, where you don't understand what's happening here? Like, why can't you just say that? So instead, he does that. Well, ultimately at that point, he's asking me, he's like, what would you do in this situation? And I just told him, I said, well, if you're wanting to work with them, if this is actually this is a good client, you do want to work with them, what I would do is I would just email her back. I wouldn't even really acknowledge the finger pointing hardly at all, but I would just straightforward say, could you provide me with the links to these appropriate pages then, so I'm not filling the wrong ones out, wasting your time? And so we did. And what do you know? She emailed back within like 5 minutes with all the links that he needed. So it tells me a couple things. Number one, about fell off a piece of wood here. Number one, though, so it was all available. She had it all. The fact that she was able to get it so quick, like that person was able to get that information and get it to you right away. That lets me know that it was all right there. It was all within a reach. It all was available for a person. Like, this wasn't a hard thing for her to find. It just wasn't. There must have been a folder of some sort. I don't know. I can't speak for that person because obviously I'm not on that side of it. But good Lord. Like, why could we not just send that information first? I can't wrap my head around it. So anyways, once he got the right information, what do you know? He had everything filled out. Everything is now being processed. Once those links were added into the SOPs, it was 15 minutes and he had everything filled out and submitted for review. That's it. The whole process, though, because of the person not wanting to do the due diligence on the front end to make sure that they had the information going out right, because when he screwed up, and let's be real, let's be 100% honest, he didn't fill out the right information. So he needs to wear that as well. And we have, that's something that's got to be very aware as well. Okay, well, were there signs that this may not have been the right information? Yeah, there's a couple. Okay, what do you think you could have done in that scenario? Well, this, that, and the other. How about when you were searching around the website? Instead of searching around, spending, what is ultimately was 45 minutes for each section trying to find what ultimately was the wrong thing to fill out. Obviously, you could have just emailed her and said, hey, I can't find this. Yeah, you're right. He admitted to that, he just sat around bitching about it. while he was searching the internet and searching this web page for the appropriate forms, he admitted that all he did was bitch and complain about why wouldn't you be doing this. So there's just all these things. Each person could have done something different. And what originally was 4 days of an original email with no information, somebody spending too much time searching things, filling out the wrong crap, turning it in, all of it to be wrong, only for that person to point that finger at them, all the while they were pointing the finger at them because they were searching. And then for that person then to finally send an email back and say, can I just get the links? Bang, links are through. Got the links? Bang, stuff's filled out. Done. Like, now those are just 2 stories, right? Those are just 2 examples. This happens all day, every day. This is something that is so insanely common that I know you're thinking to yourself, you have that same story. I know you do in a different world, or maybe the exact same one, I don't know. But I know you have it. I know that you have a story like that. You've been in that situation. The one thing I want to say about this, the reason I'm even talking about this, is because if you have the opportunity to take some or all of the blame from your side for what you could have done, for what you didn't do, just take it and be the first one to take it. Don't reciprocate because that person says, well, I guess I could have done this. And then you say, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I could have too. Like, it's better than nothing, but be the one to step up. Be the one with the most integrity. The one that's the most trustworthy, the one that's the most reliable. Because being reliable, again, there's different forms of that. Yeah, obviously the first form of reliable is people thinking that he's going to show up and he's going to get it done on time. Another form of reliable is when something goes wrong, that you're reliable to your work, like to your word. Hey, I said I was going to do you a good job. I'm going to be reliable to that. Yeah, I fell short here, and this is what I'm going to do to change that, and this is where I dropped the ball. Had I had some of this information, I think it would have helped, but understand that I dropped the ball on this spot, so I'm taking responsibility. That's so huge. I've just never, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never been in a situation where somebody starts pointing the finger at somebody else and everybody in the room, including the person that's getting the finger pointed at them, all goes, yeah, you're right. You're right. Good job. Let's just handle this problem. Good work, team. Let's handle this problem together and let's go. That's never happened. Every time I've ever been around these kinds of situations where nobody can step up and take the blame, where they're always blaming somebody that's not there, that's, a big part of that too. That's one of the big trends. I'm going to blame that person because he's not here. You ever notice that? Most people aren't blaming people in that room. That's always interesting too. It's either an email, a text message, a phone call, or sometimes you don't even get to hear about it. You hear it secondhand. Hey, they said this. Haha, weird. My phone must not have been working during that time period when they said that because I never got a call. That's always funny. Or that time we were in that meeting together. Wasn't part of that conversation. Apparently it must have went on when I left. Weird. I find it so amazing that that's so consistent. Just keep that in mind. Just be a fucking man and wear your fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, just, damn, I hope that makes sense. You don't have to take responsibility for the stuff that's not yours. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to go around wearing everybody else's problems. What I am saying, though, is fucking handle your shit. God damn it. Everyone is going to fall short at some point. Everyone is not perfect. Everyone is not 100% all day, every day. It just won't happen. There's some people that are 100% a lot more than others, but they're still not 100% every day, all day. It's not going to happen. But those people, your big time winners, your big time achievers, they don't have a problem with wearing the mistake. They take responsibility for damn near all of it. Let's just be I'm not a high level, massive CEO of some company, but I'd be willing to bet an insane amount of money that your big CEOs, like your Tom Bilyeu's, your Andy Frisella's, even the guys from Mind Pump for that matter. And I don't even know any of these people personally. I've worked with a couple of them on business levels, but not like personally. I would be willing to bet if some shit fucks up in their company that they don't point the finger at all other than at themselves. Having said that, that doesn't mean they don't realize that it's this person's problem, but what they realize is that person, if they had to do that job, they fucked up by putting that person in charge. They know damn well that they lost sight of who should have been doing that job. There were signs leading up to this moment that meant that that person was not a good fit, that that person was a bad choice, that that owner, that that CEO lost sight or made a bad choice. And they wear it and they handle their mistake. You know, when they have to move a person, demote them, maybe even let them go. You don't think that they feel that? Not only emotionally, but like financially. They lose that person in that spot. All of a sudden, nobody's there to do that job. They have to fill that position, which a lot of times, depending on the size of the company, means that they have to step into that position. Or they have to put extra stress on somebody else that already has a big time role in their job or in their company. And it's all going to be sacrifice. And they understand that and they know that and they wear that. And they don't make the mistake again because they take responsibility. They aren't in there pointing the finger at that person to everybody else while that person's not in the room. They also don't spend time after that person is gone or whatever is the scenario, telling everybody else how that person is the one that fucked it up. Like they don't waste time with that. What they say is yeah, I dropped the ball on that one. That person wasn't ready, but that's on me. I either thought they could do something they couldn't yet, or I just lost sight. I wasn't paying enough attention. You know, I won't make that mistake again. I won't make that mistake again. Like, you got to mean that. You can't say, that dude fucked it all up and I won't let him do anything anymore, in a sense of still leaving the blame on them. You got to mean that. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to put somebody in that compromised position again. That's not something I'm willing to do again. That wasn't fun. There's nothing fun about that. That person is a human being. That person tried, and let's be real for a minute. They also will take responsibility and say, you know, I let everybody down in that scenario by setting them up in that spot. I even let that person down. But the other side of that too is that when those people are pointing that finger, the other thing that kills me is they bring this raw emotion of how pissed they are and how annoyed they are at that person for doing that and how they can't believe this and blah, blah, blah. And they put on this big anger front, like as if, yeah, I'm just as mad as you. And we're all mad at that one guy that I'm blaming. Also forgetting that guy's part of their company. Forgetting that they're their employee or subcontractor or whatever, which is making them look bad. Like, it's not helping them by doing that. They're still hurting their reputation. They're still just creating a scenario that's just not good for them long term. So they'll bring that anger in there. And what's funny about that is then let's say you do get contacted. And all these people are bringing this noise and all this negative energy. Again, I meet that with just such a opposite type of reaction. My response to that is always just, oh, okay, well, let's handle this. Let's get going. Well, this is bullshit. Okay, we can talk about how mad and pissed off and how it's all bullshit and everybody else is screwing everything up, you know, afterwards. But why are we not like talking about what we're going to do, how we're going to handle this, how this is going to be better? Well, because of this and all that, and it's not going to get done on time, and again, more stuff, and I go back to the whole like, okay, but we got to figure out what are we going to do to handle it. We don't need to scream about the situation. We're in this fucking situation. We all understand what the fucking situation is. We're in it. We're here. It's the present day. My eyes are fucking open. I'm here. I'm alive. I get it. So why the fuck are you repeating it? Clearly you haven't been here. You're acting surprised. Even though you know what all the problems are. Weird. You're the only motherfucker that knew all the problems right away, but didn't speak the fuck up when time mattered. Earlier. So yes, we all get what the problem is. We're all here. We're all working towards the solution. So what is that fucking solution? Handle the problem as it is. All you're doing is screaming about what you think ought to be. The situation is the shit's not done. It looks like it's going to be late. How do we handle it? It's not done yet. We need to get it done. So handle the problem from that angle. All the screaming and pissing and moaning, acting like a giant fucking baby, all it's doing is letting everybody know that you can't handle your shit. You can't handle your business. You can't handle getting kicked in the fucking mouth. It's insane. And the fact that you come in with that energy and expect everyone else to act as if the building's on fire, what is going to get done? The chaos that you're creating in the space is all negative. Every bit of it's negative. And that's not going to get anything done. This, now bringing it all the way back into these, what I want to talk about, which is the divorced man's life moving forward. Understand that, again, this is a do-over for you. You don't have to be that fucking normal person. The normal person is the unhinged human. The human that is operating purely off emotions. The person that's always got the negative point of view. And man, you start to realize how common that actually is. And when you function outside of what is common, you're going to start to realize how uncommon you are. You will start to get things done in a very, very real way. Now, here's the kicker for you, for us. There's going to be so many people that don't like it. You're going to start to realize, and I hate that I'm saying this, because I really do think that this is most people what they will run into. I think you're going to realize that the job that you're in is full of people that are normal. It's full of people that are common. There's nobody that knows how to calmly collect themselves in those moments. They don't know how to check their emotions before they lose them, lose control, let anger overtake them. And that's where the hard part comes in. That's where the reality starts to set in of your personal current situation, which is, oh, fuck. I'm in a career that's going nowhere. Now, that technically doesn't mean you can't, move up in the company. That technically doesn't mean you can't make more money. It doesn't mean you can't work there forever. But if you're working towards a certain goal, if you're working towards your future, and that type of community, that type of just energy in a company, if that's what the owner or the bigger bosses stand for, the higher ups, it's going to be tough. And if it doesn't match with what you're wanting to, your ethos, your community guidelines, any of that, you might as well cut the cord now, because I'm promising you, the pay that they're going to give you at any point will never be worth that type of environment. It just won't be. It never will be, because you'll be the guy that will be just pissed off every time the phone rings, pissed off every time you got to go to that office, every time that Sunday rolls around and you got to get up for Monday, just whatever it is, every night. I don't know. It's just there's not an amount of money that makes it worth that. The stress, That's through the roof. And inevitably, whenever people are like that too, they just put more on you and more on you and more on you. And what you find out too is that you have less time with your family. They start to take advantage of you because they pay you more. They feel like you should. And they also want to point that finger more. And you're battling that. You're battling the future of the finger being pointed at you. And you're trying to justify the money you make because you feel like you need to do that. And you just don't want to hear them bitch. And then you're in the loop. You're in the shitty loop. You're in the rut. And remember, when you're in that rut, that's that weakness. That rut is what sets up the complacency. It's what tells the bitch voice to get ready. Uh-oh, boys. He's got a moment of weakness. He doesn't want to go to work tomorrow. Get ready, boys. Send the message. You don't need to go to work tomorrow. You're feeling sick. Bitch voice, come on, let's go. Let's go. Bitch voice activate. The bitch voice starts to come to life. The bitch voice starts talking real loud. It starts giving you reasons. Dude, you don't need to go to that shit. Don't worry about that. You don't need to go to that. Don't worry about that. There you are again. You see how this all happens. Now, again, like I said, that's the hard part. The hard part is realizing that your place of work is just not, it may not have the future that you were hoping. It may not be what you were trying to do long term. And that sometimes that's hard because you might be thinking to yourself, man, fuck, I just went through this divorce. God damn it, I lost what I thought was my normal everyday life, which again, this is a do-over. This is a good thing. But don't let that pull you down on your work side too. You know what? Look at that same boat. It's like, God damn, that really opened my eyes to this work. This work sucks. Like for me, a good example is I was an electrician, right? Like specifically one of the things I did when I went through mine, I called up a company that was a lot smaller than the one I was working for. Like I'm talking way smaller, like a tenth of the size. Maybe actually probably less than that even. Or more than that, smaller technically. But anyways, like I'm talking like the company I went to had like 8 employees and the company I came from had like 400. So, and I just wanted to go to that. It was calmer, it was smoother. So I just stepped out. I stayed as an electrician at the time. Said, you know what, this ain't for me. Like I stayed within my realm of what I knew how to do. So I didn't have to like up in my whole entire career. I just changed my place of employment at that time. Told myself, this is not what I want to do. The future at the bigger company was infinitely better. Like positions that are available, pay that was available in those positions, growth opportunities. Expansion of the company itself, all that. I mean, astronomically better. As a matter of fact, if I'm being totally honest, some of the guys that I was in charge of, or some of the guys that were running jobs with me, so we're the same level, some of them are higher ups at those companies now. They run jobs, they run full projects, they run full areas. They do that. That's their job now. They're in charge of all that. I've talked to some of them. Here's the funny thing. They like to tell you how happy they are. I would never name any of them off. But I can tell you right now, you go to a lot of their social media profiles. You want to know something that's funny? You see all you do is see them smiling. You see them happy all day, every day. You see them what looks like living the best life they've ever lived in their life. And I love that for them. But when they call me, hey, you want to go to lunch today? I got some time. You want to go to lunch? Yeah, I do. Let's go to lunch. I'll go with them. You know, if it's a day where I've got time. If it's a day where I've got open spaces and contracts and not clients and all kinds of things, yeah, I'll go to lunch with you. What's funny is they ask me, what are you doing, man? It seems like you're happy. It's weird because I don't post really anything on social media anymore. They don't even know about these videos. They don't know about the back end stuff that I'm doing. Just tell them I'm good. I've de-stressed. I've gotten rid of a lot of the responsibilities. Not to worry about the finger pointing stuff anymore. And if I do have to deal with it, I get to just look at the person and say, okay. I don't have to wear the stress that they're bringing to the plate or to the table. I don't have to have that on my plate. See, they're bringing a whole serving dish of stress, and everybody else is scooping it off as fast as they can. I'm just looking at it. I didn't bring that fucking dish. You take it. You guys have that. I'm only interested in results. I'm not interested in the stress and all the emotions involved in the results. I don't care about that. Results, outcomes, production, winning. Also, not winning. If it means not winning, how did I not win? Where did I screw up? What's the reality? What's the facts? What do I have to work on still? But yeah, we'll sit there at lunch, and when I get done saying, yeah, I'm good. I'm just relaxed, man. I don't have to worry about much. It's funny, which they're the ones that ask me, man, you look happy. I have to answer a question. Then they take it to their own space. Man, I'll tell you what, it's not how it is around here. We're still dealing with this, and they're dealing with that. And what's funny is they tell me the exact same things are bothering them now. That did before they took that position in that company. Weird. You mean the same person that couldn't handle their shit and freaked out and pointed the finger at everybody else when something went wrong? You mean to tell me that person didn't just change out of nowhere? You mean to tell me that because nobody stood up and said, hey man, calm the fuck down. You're not helping the situation. You're making it worse. You mean to tell me that that's still happening? That's weird. Huh. Surprise, surprise. They're still dealing with the same problems. They still are dealing with the same emotions, the same issues, the same struggles. They didn't handle them. They just accepted them. They weren't real with themselves. They weren't real with the person having the emotions. They weren't man enough to say something and accept whatever consequences that was on their side as well. Doesn't fucking matter. It just doesn't matter. That's it for that. That's all I'm going to go with that there. Just own your shit. Be a man. Step the fuck up and wear your problems, no matter how big, how small, how indifferent. Understand where you could have done better and fucking wear it. Stop pointing the finger, especially as a divorced man. People already have their thoughts of you. Help yourself out. The quicker you can do that, the quicker you're going to feel better. You're going to feel the relief. Because I promise you, if you're even somewhat okay at your fucking job right now, and I mean like by somewhat okay, this is so fucking pathetic that I'm going to say this, but if you have a fucking pulse and you can get out of bed and show up, chances are you're more valuable than most. The way the world is right now and what's acceptable is insane. So I guess what I'm getting at there is worst case scenario is that person looks at you, says, who the fuck do you think you are? You can't talk to me like that. I'm going to make sure you're fired. Or if it's the owner, he might fire you right there on the spot. That's going to tell you everything you ever needed to know about that person. That person was never there for you. You were only there for them. The interaction you guys had was strictly monetary. That was it. He thought you should always do more work for less money. You thought you should always pay more money for less work. The end. That's never going to work long term. Or at least it won't work for your happiness long term. It's not optimized for your outcome. It's optimized for his, where nobody's fucking happy because clearly he hasn't thought out enough either. So I'm just telling you, and I don't say that haphazardly. I don't say that as go in tomorrow and tell everybody to go fuck themselves. But I do say that with the thought of, don't just accept the circumstances that you've kind of mindlessly built around yourself. And maybe that's not even the right way to say it. Maybe not mindlessly. It's the circumstances that life has kind of put upon you that you have just grown up with. It's life's framework. It's other people's ideas of what life is that built the framework that you are working within now. It's literally the time to break free from that frame. Understand that divorce, that frame was built with that past relationship in mind. There are pieces of that frame that had that person engraved in it. Bust those motherfuckers. The divorce already started breaking it. Shatter that motherfucker. Understand that all that bullshit is what created that frame. Everybody else's visions and ideas of future and what life is or isn't supposed to be is what that frame was created with. So start building your own. Start learning the things you need to learn. Get the skills, acquire the tools to be better, to live your life. To create the future that you want. The one that makes you happy. The one that is fulfilling, that drives everything in you. That's it. That's where it is. So now, a little bit about the fitness side, and then we're done. See, I did all four stuff here, or all four of the exercises today. What I had left over was triceps, and then I had calves, and then chest today. So triceps, I did the overhead rope extension. Obviously, I was doing overhead with the bar before, like skull crusher styles and the incline. I wanted to stick with the overhead because I don't do that as much as I would like to admit, or as much as I would like to, I'm saying. So I wanted to go into it, so I just switched over to a rope. I just got away from the barbell and the dumbbell, but did that. Then calves, you saw me fumble fuck around for a little bit and try to figure out what I wanted to do. Because calves are one of those things that there's a bunch of ways you can do it. It's just, you want to make sure it's under control and you're getting a different stimulus. So for me, what that ended up being was single-legged body weight. If you're doing it we're able to get a very good negative portion where it's able to get the stretch in there. It's always good. So that's what I was doing my block. So I just did that for body weight, 4 sets of that. From there, went down to chest, which I did cable flies. That is something that felt really good. Holy shit. That was something that felt so good. I got a way better pump I've gotten from anything so far. So that's really, really good. I'm happy with that. But then from there, just went and did traps right there at the bottom. So I'm starting around time. My son's got basketball today, so I got to get all the other kids, get them ready, get them back, get them fed, and then go to the basketball game. So, and then from there, it's rush home and get the boy that played basketball fed, get him a shower, get him his homework, and get him to bed. So that'll probably be a late night tonight. But whatever, we all enjoy it. So from there, I'm going to do probably what looks like glutes and hams tomorrow at some point. So that's it. So anyways, that'll be it for today, man. Really at the end of the day, let's just start creating your life. Start telling yourself that today is the day that precedes tomorrow. So let's start building on that. It's something that is important. If you can start teaming up a number of days together, that's how you win, okay? If you can take one day and do the shit you're supposed to do and all the different aspects of your future self that you're looking for, that you're shooting for, once you have that outline, if you can team up one day of decisions that are for that future, that lets you know right there, you can do it. You can do it to whatever degree you want to whatever level you want to. The success is unlimited if you can do that for one day. And then it's just a game of how many days in a row can I team up doing that? And that's for everything. That's with diet, that's with fitness, that's with business, that's with being a better father, being a better husband, being a better boyfriend, whatever it is in your space at this time, in this moment, being a better man. If you can do that, if you can do it for one day, you can do it for 2. And if you fall off after 2, okay, 2's the day I got to beat 2. Now you can do it for 3. Now you can do it for 10. Now you can do it for 20. Now you can do it for 100. Maybe you can team up 1,000 days. And that's when you start to realize, oh shit, I can win. I've started to win. You'll look back and see how much different your life is. All right, man. Till tomorrow.